Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force, and we're back with more of what you might call the kind of a greatest hits for comic book art in the early 90s. I might call it that. Previously, a couple of weeks ago, we looked at the best of Jim Lee at Marvel, I would say, at the end of his Uncanny X-Men run. And then last couple of weeks, we looked at Eric Larson's run on Spider-Man, which, again, is probably his best run at Marvel. So now we're looking at Whilce Portacio. Saying the best of Whilce Portacio is redundant. It's all best, all the time. Every once in a while, you get a page where like Whilce is having an off day. And it's like, oh shit, what the hell happened there? But no. It's quite rare. So yeah, we are looking at X Factor number 66 from May of 1991. But just before we get into that, if you enjoy the channel, if you feel like you might want to support me a bit as an artist, what you can do, in the description, there's a couple of links. First one will take you to my Patreon. And if you subscribe there, that'll give you access to all of the Blood Force stuff, as well as these videos before they make it to YouTube, usually a week or so in advance. Also, if you go over to my Instagram, commissions are now open there, and that's how you can get your own Blood Force artwork. So let's get to X Factor number 66. So this is part 2 of 4. So what happened in part 1 of 4? That's about it. There wasn't a whole lot. There was training. It really was a jumping on point where, you know, you got the rundown for everybody and you got reintroduced to Apocalypse. And yeah, no, Apocalypse is going to be the deal again for a few issues. It's like, okay, that is the ultimate X Factor villain, right? So the only real story element that carries over is the fact that at the end of the book, the ship that Apocalypse used to invade his old ship was burrowing into it. So that's where we are at the beginning of this. So starting with the cover, that is actually what is being represented here. This is the new Apocalypse ship sort of asserting control over the old Apocalypse ship, and X Factor having to fend off all of the invading tech. So this is the kind of cover I kind of like, because it's like, oh yeah, this is what happens in this issue. Whilce doesn't always stick to that format, so it's nice when he does actually break it out. And here we're going to get Nathan Summers, who is Scott and Jean's, well, no, right? So this is the thing, I didn't read a lot of the early X-Men stuff. As far as I understand it, Nathan is Scott and Madeline's son, Madeline Pryor, who's kind of a clone of Jean Grey, and kind of not, maybe. And so that makes Nathan not really Jean's son, but kind of like surrogate son kind of thing. And I guess he's Scott's son. That's fine. And of course he'll have his own deal going on. It's gonna be a mess. I'm kind of contemplating doing the Executioner's song at some point. I'm not sure why, but we could do that. I have a few of them, and I am ordering the rest of them, because why the fuck not, I guess. But yeah, that is a pretty good cover. I like the density of lines on this, actually. You get a nice kind of frame here. And of course, the main figures are the focus, and they get a reasonable amount of detail. And we're able to make an Apocalypse-looking threat here in the back with not a lot of detail, but it still looks full. That color scheme's pretty gross, though. And we're continuing the Apocalypse Files. Oh, and this is by Whilce and Art T-Bear in 1990. And again, this is May, so they do these things way in advance, eh? All right. So, we open up. That is kind of a ton of detail to start with. And we'll just zoom in a little bit there so that you can get a better look. So, we're starting off, this is in New York City, which is where X Factor is based out of. And this is the area immediately surrounding the ship, and we've got some homeless people being what looks like assimilated by rampaging technology. Gets the first two guys here. The one guy here is about to get just kind of converted when the technology gets halted and he's carried away. And yeah, that's a nice amount of detail. In the background here, just enough to set the scene. And this tech stuff, it looks good. It's busy enough, but you look closely at it, And that wouldn't be difficult to map out. You just got to do it. And, you know, I'm realizing more and more, I should, if I want to, like, rip off image looking stuff, I should just rip off Whilce. Everybody else seems to. I might as well. And there we go. Guy carrying him off is Archangel. And that's not a bad spread at all. So we've got all that tech coming out and just, yeah, converting the city into what it needs, I suppose. So this is plotted by Jim Lee and Whilce. And again, I'll look for a Jim Lee touch. I'd be a little surprised, to be honest. Script by Chris Claremont again. Whilce does the pencils. Art does the inks. And we get a massive shot of Archangel to open things up. Again, just kind of proving what we were saying about Uncanny X-Men number 274. With that opening shot of Magneto, and the somewhat fisheye look at with the perspective, yeah, I think that is the case. I think that is a Whilce shot. And see, this does not look strained at all. It doesn't look like he's, 98% there. He's got it pretty well unlocked there. And we're going to cut to other parts of the city. And we're going to get to see other heroes done by Whilce. So, Captain America and her Cersei. Okay. I think she gets a leather jacket later. They all get leather jackets later. Because this is New York, though. This is there's all sorts of superheroes in New York. So then we get to see Whilce's version of The Thing and the Human Torch. And I wouldn't mind seeing that comic, to be honest. Fantastic Four done by Whilce, yeah, that'd be all right. And follow it up with She-Hulk. And everyone is just trying to fend off this invading tech. So nice just kind of trip around New York to see how everyone's dealing with this. And not ignoring the fact that, because even though we're in New York, nobody else is having to deal with this stuff, right? All right, so cut to inside the ship. And again, this technology, it's radiating out from Apocalypse's infiltration ship here. And Jean is starting to feel a presence calling out for help, and it's the ship that they usually inhabit. And Hard Drive here is going to prevent her from making too much contact. Doesn't need her helping out the ship in any way. So just flat out attack her with the tech. Good looking stuff. We're getting some classic Whilceisms in here. So a corner that has no background, has no panel border, and has figures standing alone. Also a shot like this with this sort of expressionistic background stuff. Like everybody has their own version of it. This is very strongly Whilce. So after Jean is pretty much knocked out here, the rest of X Factor have to spring to action so that they can do something. They're really not sure what to do at this point. They're just kind of trying to fend off the tech when there's a voice that starts saying Nathan Christopher, which is the name of Scott's son. And turns out that's the ship. So probably as a result of Jean making contact. And we cut to the nursery. And I think I mentioned in the last issue there that Foxbat here didn't seem to have any kind of role to play in the fight. And that's because I guess he was... the fight itself was a distraction. And he was supposed to go off and find the Summers kid. So it does fairly easily, and is about to run off with him in his little Baby Yoda cart, when an unknown assailant sneaks up behind him. Yeah, you see more of that expressionistic background stuff here. This one looks like it's done kind of quick. We know with Whilce that he can do, and again, another one of those corner of a page, no background, and some figures. It's good stuff. It always looks good. But we know Whilce can do, like he'll do a page that looks like it's just kind of dashed off, and then you look closer and it's like, oh wait, what about all this detail here though? Not so much in this case. This does look fairly random. All this stuff on the side here. This looks very scratchy. So it feels like he's trying to stay on schedule here. Or, whoever's doing the inks. I suppose that's Art T-Bear. And the newcomer takes out Foxbat fairly easily with what looks like a Psylocke side blade kind of thing. And we're going to get just a little bit of exposition to tease whatever this new storyline is that will probably turn into something. I'm not for sure. But essentially, Nathan Summers here is John Connor. He's going to lead the Chosen to defeat Apocalypse, which is why Apocalypse is trying to take him now to corrupt him or that kind of stuff. Nice action shot. Again, that panel. He does it a lot. And just stuff like this, that seems like it would be unnecessary. Although it does a nice job of leaving room for lettering. I wonder how intentional that is. I guess it must be, eh? Because this still does credit, you know, Jim Lee and Whilce with plots, and then Chris Claremont with scripts. So this, you would think Marvel method, where the artist is basically writing the book, just doing the pictures. So the visitor hears a noise behind her, unloads. Turns out it's X Factor. Great shot for a chaotic, just spraying the room with bullets kind of thing. And again, because Archangel has the thing where he can shoot out his, feathers. And that shot there is pretty sweet. It's not really a Dutch angle, but the wings make it feel like it. So it does give it that kind of added dynamism. And while X Factor and the newcomer are fighting each other, Foxbat recovers and is able to grab Nathan's crib here and teleport away. So Apocalypse has a hold of Nathan. This newcomer seems to be against Apocalypse. Could be why she's wearing an X suit. We'll never know, right? And we find out ship's system has been 73% corrupted. And we're gonna end with again these this tech stuff, just kind of making a wave attack at X Factor here at the end. But Iceman is actually able to do something cool. He doesn't do a whole lot of that I see anyway. I'm probably wrong on that one. But yeah, it feels like it's very rare that Bobby gets to do anything cool. It's usually Archangel or Cyclops or Beast. And outside of the ship, we've got the NYPD, including, I believe this is Archangel's girl from last issue. And there was a barrier around the ship previously, but now it's been switched off and she can make it through, but only her by the looks of it. And again, it doesn't take too much to show a corrupted city. You show some buildings here, show some cords going from the ship, show a bit of rubble around the stairs. That's good. That's all you need. It does look a little post-apocalyptic-y that way. And Officer Jones here, or as she reminds us, Sergeant Jones, apparently she got promoted, makes her way through the ship. Apparently X Factor can hear her over the intercom. And but they don't seem to hear her get attacked by what looks like Gauntlet, if I had to guess. This is all fine stuff. Got some good shadow work here. Nothing particularly thrilling, but it's kind of a bit of an exhale page. And on the following page, Beast makes contact with the ship. So ship is awake now and is aware of the infection. And everyone kind of arrives at the same conclusion that this must be Apocalypse due to the familiarity with the systems and the systematic breakdown and all that. So ship's response is to launch itself into space because it will not be a servant of Apocalypse again. So that's the deal. Ship used to have to work for Apocalypse. Now it no longer have to work for Apocalypse. And being corrupted by Apocalypse, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go fly into space and blow up. And yep, cutting back to another part of the ship, turns out it was Gauntlet. So he's debating whether or not to take Charlotte prisoner when Archangel busts through. Great shot. I guess he's just cutting right through the ship. Even though they make a big deal of Ascani, that's the visitor's name, cutting through the ship's hull earlier in the issue. And they're going to make some threats. The Dark Riders here are going to teleport away again. So they're all off the ship now. And Charlotte has reunited with Archangel. So that's something. What's been accomplished so far? It doesn't feel like a ton. And we're cutting back to the main X Factor group where Scott gives Ship a stern talking to. tells him that suicide isn't the solution, you dick. But ship has made up its mind. Again, there's that kind of panel again. And can't keep back the Apocalypse tech any longer. It really has no control. Probably couldn't even stop the launch and explosion now if it wanted to. So we got a cool shot of the tech invading this little room here. And again, Beast in his thong. Yeah, this was the time when you could get like a cool shot of, you know, at least a character or two on every page. So Marvel Girl's still unconscious. Archangel should be here somewhere. Oh, there he is. And it looks like Charlotte managed to snag one of Gauntlet's guns. And he's firing off all those little feathers here. You can kind of tell here. Basically, everyone's going to try and fend off the tech while Beast tries to find some kind of solution. And it seems like he does at the end here, although we're not really privy to what that might be. And, oh dear. That's an ending. That's quite an ending, actually. The two images paired. So yeah, that's it for the ship. Ship destroys itself, and with a pretty great looking explosion too. That would have taken a bit to draw. All those little bits and everything. And Ascani here manages to see the explosion. And we find out that Ascani is from the future, because she mentions how these events aren't in any of the histories where she's from. So she's a little worried that she may have set events differently so that she accidentally caused the death of X Factor. And we get a little reveal at the end here that she's actually Nathan's sister. Nathan's older sister? So I assume that's like a adopted or step, or just kind of like, you know, you're my bro kind of thing. Because I'm quite sure that they don't have other kids. But yeah, that's a nice little spread to end on. And I don't think anybody particularly thought X Factor was getting exploded right here. There's probably have a bit more fanfare. But it's still a little bit of like, oh, well, I guess I should pick up the next one and find out what the fuck happened there. And we're going to get some more Apocalypse files with some Iceman here. I think I did try copying this one as well. Oh, and some Beast. I would not have tried copying that because you can't fucking see anything. It's a cool shot, though. But, like, yeah, I wouldn't have had the first idea of what to start drawing there. And that's it for that one. So what happened in that one? Not a ton, really. Not a full issue's worth, I would have thought. X Factor fight off the invading technology. Nathan gets stolen by the goons of Apocalypse there. That's something. And we introduce a Ascani. And ship blows up, and that's kind of it. I mean, you know, we've seen comics with less in them. But, yeah, it's not a ton. Maybe Claremont should have been, like, doing full, you know, writing duties instead of just the scripts. But he might not have had time for that. He's also writing Uncanny, of course. So, we'll have to hope that the story picks up a little bit in issue 67. I'm pretty sure it does. But we'll have to see how that goes. In the meantime, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications. If you think you might want to help support the channel or just support me as an artist, open up the description and follow the link to my Patreon. Subscribe there. That'll give you access to all the Blood Force stuff as well as these videos before they make it to YouTube, usually a week or so in advance. And if you go over to my Instagram and commission some artwork, that's where you would do that. Yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.